Hi, and welcome to another video by Jimthecarguy. Today we have a 2013, it's a Ram 250 pickup truck with a 6.7 liter diesel engine, and we're going to be changing both fuel filters. There's two of them on this particular vehicle. One of them is up in the front, right up on the top here. The other one is in the back underneath the vehicle. So we're going to do this one here first, and I'm going to show you how that's going to go. It's fairly simple. You do need a socket. They make a special socket to take these plastic covers off on top here. You can buy a whole assortment of them, all different sizes. This particular one I'm going to be using on here is a 29 millimeter. It's a little bit of a tight spot. You can't get in there with an extension, so you basically just stick it on the end of your ratchet. I like the ratchet that swivels on the head so you can get different angles on it. But we're going to get in there, we're going to take that filter, we're going to crack the top of it loose, and then we're going to open up on the side of it. There's a little valve on the side that we open it up to let the fuel drain out. And we have a bucket down underneath the bottom underneath here, and we're going to catch the fuel in that bucket, and then we're going to take that filter out, change the O-ring, and then put it back together. So let me show you where it's located and what we're going to be doing. What we're going to do is the filter down inside there. You can see it's in a little bit of a tight spot, but it's not too bad. The light down there now is that non-exploding light I was telling you about, the fluorescent light. So let me grab the tool and let's loosen that up. All right, fairly easy. We're just going to crack it loose a little bit here, just so it loosens up just a little bit. Loosen up this drain valve down here. I know it's a little bit dark. I'll try to do the best I can for you. Loosen up this drain valve here, and we'll let the fuel drain out when we open this up. And as you can see, you see the fuel coming out down the bottom down there. Draining right down into a bucket on the ground. So we'll let that run until it's emptied out, and then we're going to pull that filter out of there. Take this out of here. We'll let that drain out a little bit, and then we'll pull that out of there. I'm going to put the camera down while I do it because I'm going to need to put a bucket underneath here to catch the fluid. So let me get that out of there and we'll come right back. Got your filter, so let's grab the new one, and we'll grab the new O-ring and get the new one back in there. Our filter. Pushes right in here like this, and you'll hear it pop right down. Now we're going to put that new O-ring on, and we'll get this cover back on. We're going to close this drain valve up here too, so that we're nice and tight now. Finger tight, you don't have to tighten it with any wrenches or anything. And let's lubricate that O-ring and put it back together. Okay, now that we lubricated the O-ring, we're just going to lay the ring back in there where it came out. You want to make sure it's back into the groove that it came out of. And now we're going to reinstall our cover. You don't want to tighten this cover too tight. We're going to do with a torque wrench. That's the recommended way of doing it. I think it calls for 22 foot-pounds if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to look it up just to make sure. But we're going to screw that cover down by hand, as far down as we can by hand first. And then we'll tighten it up the rest of the way with the with the wrench, and then we'll follow it up with the torque wrench, just to make sure that it's properly torqued closed. Switch hands here. Alright, let's grab the torque wrench. I'm going to torque that tight, and we made sure our drain valve is closed again. Remember that, close your valve. Let me grab the torque wrench. We're going to torque this down. I believe it was 22 foot-pounds. I'll look at it, I'll torque it, and then we'll come right back and I'll show you how it is. What I always do before I change the second fuel filter, I always start the vehicle up and let it run. That way you have less of a chance that you're going to wind up with an air problem where it's air blocked and you're not going to get it to run properly. So after I get this torqued up, we're going to start it, let it run for a little bit, let the fuel circulate back up in the front here, make sure we have no leaks, and then we're going to do the back one. So let me tighten it up, we'll get this running, and we'll come right back. Okay, now that we have the cover torqued down, I've dried off all around the seals there, and we got all of our tools out of the way, and now we're going to fire this up. We're going to let it run for a couple of minutes to get that fuel circulating, and we'll get to that back filter then. I always cycle a key a couple times to get the fuel pressure pumped up. That's why I always do one filter at a time. It takes less time to prime the new filter. So we're going to let it run for a couple of minutes. Obviously we have it's the winter time here, so we have the doors closed. We have a hose on the back of the vehicle, and we're going to let it run for a little bit. We're going to go up in the front. We're going to check and make sure we have no leaks, and then we'll come underneath there and we'll start on the other. Let's take a look and make sure we're in good shape here. Everything looks good, no leaks, nice and dry. Alright, we're going to let it run for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to get underneath it. We'll do that second filter. So we'll come right back in a couple of minutes. This is the second filter. It's underneath the vehicle, almost dead center above the drive shaft. This is the second filter that's got to be replaced. What you're going to do on this one here is you're going to take a 3/8 or 5/16 piece of hosing, screw it on here, then open up this valve, and you can let the fuel drain into a bucket, which you're going to have below. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to reach up underneath here. We're going to unplug that sensor right there. There's a little push pin. You just push the pin in, and you pull it, and it comes out. I do need to reach up there. Push that pin in on the side, and you unplug it from the sensor like that. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to drain it into the bucket, and then we're just going to use a standard oil filter wrench to unscrew it. So let me drain it, and we'll come right back. Okay, once you've got the wire unplugged, you can just get on with the standard oil filter wrench, and you loosen it up. drain it. Put this hose on here, drain it into the bucket. And then once we got it finished draining out, then we can loosen up the filter and take it off the rest of the way. Make sure you have your bucket under it, because it is going to continue to leak all over the place once you break it loose. And then you can take it off like a regular oil filter. Just take it off by hand. Okay, obviously now we have this out of the vehicle on the workbench, and what we need to do is we need to transfer this piece over into here. We're going to use the new O-rings that come supplied with it, and you basically just put a wrench on here and you just turn this off. It's only plastic, it's really not that tight. Should come off fairly easy. They already cracked it loose. And what you do is just unscrew it out like this. Obviously you're going to have a little bit of fuel leakage, and we're going to take this O-ring off right here. We'll grab a scribe, we'll take it off, and we'll come right back. We'll just hook onto it and take that O-ring right off like this. And then we're going to take our new O-ring and we'll put it right back on. As much as you may be tempted to use the old O-ring, don't do it. Alright, new O-ring is on. And we'll put a little bead of oil in this. And then we're going to reinstall it right here. And tighten it in. Let me grab a wrench and we'll tighten that up a little bit. And I want to point out that obviously there's a new O-ring to go with this also. And it just push it right inside here. And again, we're going to lubricate this O-ring also. So let me tighten this up. We'll put it back up in the car and we'll wrap this job up. Well, basically what we're going to do is we're just going to put the oil filter, or I should say the fuel filter, back up underneath here, and then we're going to screw it on with that wrench just a little bit tighter. Alright, so now what we did is we switched over our sensor. We tightened up the sensor, put the new O-ring in it, we put the O-ring on the new filter, and we lubricated it, and now we're going to screw it up there. And we'll tighten it up just a little bit with the wrench because it's not able to get a good grip on it. I want to remind you, you're not tightening it real tight with that wrench. You're just going to snug it in there and just go a little bit tighter. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to plug back in that sensor that we previously unplugged from right up in here. And it can only go in one way. Okay. And you'll hear it snap in, and you're in all the way. Alright, now we already know that we tightened up the drain valve already. We have the filter tight. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go up there, we're going to purge the air out of it by turning the key on and off just to fill this filter back up. And then we'll fire it up and we'll come down and make sure it's nice and dry. Alright, and we're back underneath here. I did go up in the truck, we did start it to make sure it was okay, and as you can see, it is bone dry. Alright, so we're just going to wipe it down, get all that the dirt off there, and I'm going to wrap this job up, get it out the door. Just want to remind you, when you do these, I always do them one filter at a time. It purges out the air a little bit better, but that's just the way I do it. Okay, here we are back with this 2013 Ram 2500 6.7 diesel. We changed both fuel filters, the front filter as well as the one underneath the vehicle. Now we're going to come into the vehicle and we're going to reset the maintenance reminder, which comes up on here. If you look on the steering wheel here, you'll see a bunch of buttons on here. You press these buttons until it comes up on the dashboard, and then when you get to that screen right there where it says fuel filter life, you can see now it gets down to where it's got to be replaced over there. It was at less than 4%. Oh, we got 14,000 miles on it. And then what you do is you just hold the button that points to the right side over there, which is this one right here. You press it and hold it, and it'll reset. Now let's see what happens. We're going to scroll down to OK. Again, we do that with this button right here. We scroll to it. Cancel, and we're going to do OK. And we're going to hold it. Fuel filters reset to 100%. That's it. All right, just confirm, make sure it's set to 100%, and that's it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.